Hello, founders. As promised, I am going to, in this video, confront an angel investor, and we're going to have a talk about investing in startups, specifically early stage. We're talking pre-seed, seed, and I don't want to bury the lead here, but let me get an introduction out of the way. My name is Ed Kang. I'm a seven-time funded founder. I've had two exits. Just a fancy way of saying I failed a bunch of times to your benefit because I like to use videos like this and get guests on like Greg. You're going to hear about the mistakes that we've made and the mistakes that you might make, and it'll make your life a little bit easier. Not to say you're not going to make mistakes, but I'm going to try and share. And that's the reason I'm bringing on the angel investors. I'm bringing on the other founders. I'm bringing on all the people that you want to hear from. And I'm going to ask pointed questions. We're going to get down the nitty gritty, and we're going to talk about investing in your startup as well. And I'm going to share my plan with you. Greg, thank you so much for joining. I've been developing this relationship with you. You and I have had some amazing conversations over on the startups.com channel. Wanted to get you over here. Give us a little background of who you are, what you do, what you're up to, all the way from founder to investor.
Thanks, Ed. Look, I really appreciate it. Love to be here. Great to see you. Great to have this conversation. I am Greg Welch. I am a 15-time founder, 6 exits. I sold my first company to General Electric when I was 24 years old, and very quickly became this title of this big corporation. And within 3 months, I was suspended with pay. So I very quickly realized that I did not want to work for corporate America. We had 4 years of golden handcuffs, which were paid. I actually got paid 5. That's a whole other story. But it just made me realize that I love startups. I wanted to always be in that infancy, that super early stage of building things. And again, I've had the great privilege, and I'm grateful for my teams and people that I've been able to do this many, many, many times.
Fantastic. And what has been your history? Like, you've had all these exits, and I think usually what happens is, like me, you get an exit, you get some money, you just start writing angel checks. So what has that journey been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, I mean, again, I love to be in the infancy of an idea. So, I think that they say salespeople are the worst, people to say no to deals. That's 100% the way I am, so any founder asks me for money, I just can't help but write a check. So, but at the same time, look, I say that I stay in my lane. I'm a technology guy, telecom, platforms, voice, video, all of those types of scenarios now in cybersecurity. So I really, really gravitate towards founders in those spaces. So I know what my lane is. I know where I can help and support. I like to write checks when I can pick up the phone, make an intro, make a difference. That's always, suited me in companies that I've built, but also in companies that I've invested in.
Okay, before I get into the nitty gritty and start asking you some pointed questions, share your experience with the Capital Factory, because I think that's a fascinating story.
Yeah, I mean, so look, Capital Factory, an amazing thing. Josh Fair, who's the founder of Capital Factory, the epicenter of all tech in Texas. I mean, in Austin, in Houston, in Dallas. I moved from Los Angeles to Austin, Texas in 2009. Immediately, I was checking out the startup scene, who's here, what's going on. Found some incubators, accelerators, and heard about Josh. And the funny story with this whole thing is Josh and I were supposed to get together for a meeting a month later. And I was on a flight. I'd never forget it. I was on a JetBlue flight going from Austin to San Francisco. And I was sitting next to a guy that was bald and had glasses. And I was like, "Hey, are you Josh Bear?" And he's like, "Yeah, are you Greg Welch?" And I said, "Yeah." And so we spent 4.5 hours in that flight talking about Capital Factory, talking about startups, talking about all these things. So, I invested in Capital Factory. I was super excited. We were talking about taking out a space on top of the Omni Hotel in the Brazos building, which we did, which was, it still is the most amazing startup space in Austin, in Texas, in a lot of places. That's where we developed a ton of companies, and Josh and Capital Factory are doing just amazing work, phenomenal things. So it's great to see companies like that. I mean, Josh, more than anybody, I think, his motto is I help founders quit their job. That's what he does. He lives it, drinks it, breathes it. The entire ecosystem there is exactly that. I learned from him as a human. He's a great guy, and a family guy, and just doing amazing work.
And that speaks to the pedigree and the type of person you are, that he would want to work with you. And you have raised over $100 million for your stuff and different types of applications, different ventures, different venues, vehicles, you name it. And it's fun to talk to individuals who've raised that amount of capital. How many deals would you say between you, Capital Factory, all the deals, in terms of funding, have you been a part of or associated with?
Probably upwards of 100 deals, right? And I say that that's in physical deals that got to funding, that were, whether it be term sheet, whether it be private equity type style deals. And then there's all kinds of M&A. I've acquired companies, I've sold companies, I've been involved in acquisitions with other groups. And that's really a passion of mine too, right? Is trying to find, I think of it like whether it's Lego blocks or kind of the blank canvas, finding those pieces of the puzzle to put together that come out for 1 + 1 doesn't make 2, it makes 10.
And let's go for the elephant in the room, Greg. Why don't you participate with Silicon Valley? Why not go be a partner at Y Combinator or go put your money in with A16Z? There's so many out there that I'm sure would love to have you a part of that. What brings you to my corner of the woods? How come we're hanging out and we're talking? I ask myself this question all the time, Greg. I tell my wife, I'm like, I talk to this guy, Greg, and I don't know why he talks to me, because he's in like a league of his own when it comes to this stuff. He doesn't have to hang out with us normies down here. And it's a joke because you've been amazing up to this point in time. But I'm totally curious. Why not play with the big boys?
Well, look, it's funny, Ed. Look, I'm just a normie myself, right? I grew up in the Midwest, came from nothing. I don't have my MBA from Harvard or Stanford. So I don't find myself quite accepted in that sandbox in some ways. But look, I mean, half my friends are all Silicon Valley VCs, right? And I say that jokingly, right? I mean, I love what they do, but it's not what I do, right? I mean, I'm an operator, and that's true blue who I am. I break it down that way. I look at deals that way. I am not the formulaic mathematician spreadsheet guy that breaks it down by theory and thesis. I love those that are, but I really look at the ground up, right? The team, really what problem they're solving and where the traction's coming. So, look, I actually, before COVID, I thought about doing a fund myself and was really considering it. I'm so glad I didn't. I think COVID, I love to deal with founders, and, I have, dealt with VCs my whole life, and I am one of the people that will also preach to VCs that I wish they were a little bit more compassionate to founders. Sure. I wish they would understand more the plight of the founder. I've been at the Rosewood when the VCs are letting the founders buy the drinks and, spend the money, and they freaking can't afford it, right? It's just, it's silly to me. Take your management fees and buy those founders a couple drinks because, all they're trying to do is sell, and get people to, help with them and work with them. So, look, that's my camp. And I like that group of people. I like being with the little people because I am one of those little people. It makes it all the more fun.
Welcome to the camp. I always like to say we work with the 99% of founders that aren't going to go to Y Combinator or they're pre-Y Combinator. I've worked with founders like that who are underestimated, underserved, and underrepresented. That's where the fun is, finding the diamond in the rough. Sure, we can go play with the ones that have got the hoodies and they've got the degrees and they've got the traction and they've got the pedigree. Yeah, but the real fun is with the underdogs. And that's what I think we represent here. And that's the reason it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you at startups.com. I'm going to show everybody this. Here, I've said I'm going to be transparent with my metrics, with my whole audience. And this is where I'm going to say thank you to every single subscriber. Thank you to everyone who joined startups.com from here, who keep coming back. I got monetized. So my first pay came in March 14th. That's when I got monetized. I made a total $1.42, all because of everybody out there. And here it is. This is my latest here, right here, October 7th, and just verifying $8.46. Throughout the whole time, I made $1,035. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reinvest every single dollar that I make from YouTube into founders. It's not going to be a big check, but I'm going to be the first YouTube angel investor. I thought there's a lot of angel investors that are out there that have YouTube channels, but nobody's saying I'm going to take money from YouTube and put it in and recycle this thing because it's all one big ecosystem. You're here, Greg, because I was sharing that vision and then you had a response. What are your thoughts on my plan? Hit me with it. Give it to me. Give me the feedback.
I love it, Ed. It's the democratization of investment. I love it. I want to be a part of it. And I jokingly said to you, I want to be your Yuri Milken, right? I mean, I think Yuri was putting in like 50,000 check sizes originally, and YC, every deal would match and all that kind of stuff. I'm not Yuri. I'm not writing a $50,000 check, but I would love to go on that journey with you and match funds and figure out how to blow this thing up, get people excited, get the eyeballs rocking and rolling, and fund more and more and more founders.
And when you said that, I had this like surge of energy because I began going, wait a second. This actually might work. This is something other people might be interested in. Crazy group of guys like us. And I can go to sponsors and say, you know what? Instead of sponsoring me, put some money in there. We're going to invest in a founder. We're going to do all these things. We're going to like Mr. Beastify or whatever, the Mr. Beastification of this whole sort of thing. And see if we can find an alternative for founders instead of going to the traditional routes. And what's crazy is I've been invited to these podcasts. People were like, we want to talk to people and share. If you don't live in Silicon Valley, you don't need a VC check. How do you raise money? in different countries. So it's kind of already taken on a life of its own. And I want to say thank you for the inspiration, the support. So let's get into this. Let's talk. I want to find founders that maybe are pre-seed, like they're their first check. And what we're going to do, it's not a big check, but really, if I write them $1,000 and we get investors to match and come in, say we write $2,000, it's going to teach the founder how to do a safe, how to do a deal, how to work with stakeholders without mortgaging, 30% of their company, and also get themselves in the game. And then we're going to sponsor them and bring them into startups.com, give them coaching. One of the things I've said, Greg, and I put out this video that came out before this one's going to come out. I said, if any investor says, I will invest in your company or I will introduce you investors, but first you must buy my program, take my course, do this product, go on here, etc., and jump through all these hoops that cost you money, I'm telling founders run in the other direction because I never plan to do that. That should never be a condition. What have you seen when it comes to that type of stuff?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's twofold, right? I think, that is one of the sides of it is like do all this stuff, jump through the hoops, and it really spend the money, right? Because look, I mean, so many people are trying to sell content to create value, right? The other thing I would say is this, look, I mean, no offense, but there are a lot of seminars, sessions, conferences where the pitch to the founder is, we're going to invite all these VCs and you're going to have this amazing opportunity to pitch all these different VCs, okay? Look, when I was really young, I went to all those conferences and spent the thousands of dollars to go. Oh, yeah. And guess what? I never found a VC to talk to. And if I did, it was not a VC that was ever going to be interested in my idea, right? So look, I mean, I think it is what it is. And those people have their own, aspects of what they're doing. But look, the only way to raise capital is through your network, doing the hard work, finding people that can introduce you, finding people that are passionate about what you're doing, and at the same time, what I would also say too is on the flip side, the other aspect of what I've seen out there is that, look, I have had so many people tell me that for X amount of dollars, they would introduce me to people or they would find me investors. Now, aside from that being against the rules of FINRA, as a broker dealer, if they are not one of those, you're not supposed to do that. It doesn't work. Yeah. I have a few times in my life spent money, wrote checks to people that were supposed to bring me to the promised land when I was much, much younger. They did not bring me to the promised land. Actually, they never even got me to a qualified investor. And again, I was out all that money. So go with your gut. I mean, look, this is what being a founder is about. I mean, it's equal to building your company, having this amazing idea, telling a story, and truly trying to change the world. It's becoming a salesperson. Even if you're an engineer, even if you're someone who's not social or doesn't like talking to people, you got to have conversations. You got to learn your elevator pitch. You've got to learn how to discuss and talk to people about what you do. That's just the way it is. And whatever you need to do, that's what you need to get in that mode of. And look, friends, family are great for that. So just start pitching.
Start pitching. Okay. Which is what we teach on this channel. So I'm going to make you I'm going to be your associate. I'm going to make you my general partner. Let's just create this. You're my investment committee. I got to come to you, run through things. I'm going to source deals from my YouTube channel. And our investment thesis is we're not necessarily going to take the founder that's already a shoe-in that's going to win and get into Y Combinator. We're not going to get on that train. We're going to get with the founder that maybe just needs an opportunity, needs training, needs a little bit of a leg up to help them go get that friends, family, and associates round. And we're going to teach them, we're going to give them resources, and we're going to teach them. And hopefully they really love us, and we get to say, yeah, we wrote some really, really early stage checks, and we had a lot of fun, and maybe introduce them to our friends and later on help and get involved and participate in that startup. What startup are you looking for? What would be your criteria? What would you tell me, Ed, bring me this, and so all the viewers here can start to get ready and prep their minds for the application process?
Well, yeah, look, I mean, here's what I would say in this science project, which I find so fascinating, right? I'll take back my norm of staying in my lane, right? Again, where I can be the most valuable startups, and I am, is being able to, not just write a check, but pick up the phone and make a deal, right? I mean, all of my, buddies are C-level executives in the telecom world, the cable space, and the network and platform space. And, we've grown up together for 35 years, right? But I also am a consumer, CPG, I have kids, I have, interests, outside of tech, so what I would say is, look, anything, show us, let's come up with some ideas. Let's change the world, right? I think that's what's exciting to me, right? It doesn't have to be some new AI platform model, telecom, 5G, 6G, app. Look, I'm very open to helping however I can with my network, which, kind of spans many different verticals and segments, and want to just help. And I think, look, part of this maybe is, maybe part of the investment is, I don't want to be a board member, but I want to be an advisor, meaning I
Yeah.
want to help. I want to input. I want to give, feedback. I want to help however I can, just like we do here and we do at startups.com.
That would be tremendous. You bring up the perfect segue, smart money. So what I'm looking for, and I think I'm encapsulating what Greg said, I'm looking for founders that can take the $2,000 that we write there, and the kitty's just going to keep going up. I'm just going to keep chunking that money in every single day. It's going to start building up, and I'm going to use Greg as my social proof and go talk to other investors, say, hey, you need to get on this train. I'm going to twist their rubber arms to get them involved. But then I'm looking for people who can take advantage of our smart money. Maybe we write them a check for $2,000, but they take that and they draw from us $200,000 of value in contacts, learning, mentorship, so we can get involved, which means we're not just going to write checks willy-nilly and then walk away and say, hey, let us know when these convert. We actually want to get involved. We want to build a relationship, and I will take as long as I need to. I don't have to deploy this capital, everyone. I don't have an LP breathing down my neck saying, how come you're not putting my capital at work? I can sit on this for months till we find the right deal, because that's going to be our track record moving forward. I think that's the approach. What else is on your mind when it comes to that, Greg?
Yeah, look, and I think, we could also add to that too. Again, we've been involved in these kind of platforms. We've been involved. I'm sure we can get Amazon credits, Google credits. I'm sure we can get, I already have 90% off at HubSpot. I'm sure we can get a lot of things that are very, very, very valuable to our startup founders, to your point, to add into our cash and prizes kitty, so that we can show real value without having to spend the money that we're talking about here to grow that value. I mean, so I would love to help contribute there. We can work on those things too. It'd be a lot of fun.
Here's the last criteria for everyone. You have to be willing to participate in creating content. If content on YouTube is my source of capital and you're not willing to contribute to that, then we're going to have issues. I know some founders contact me, and I appreciate your courage to send me a pitch deck, and I say, I'm going to do a review on my channel, and you say no. That doesn't work for me. The reason I can do the free reviews is because I'm creating content. We're creating this ecosystem, this symbiotic synergy, to use all the cliches, put them together so that we work together. So that's a thing. I'm going to say, Greg, thank you. We are going to have you on multiple times and get you on with the founders. And you've been so great, and you make great content, and we have a lot of fun together. For everybody else, attach this, go look in the comments section or the description of the video. By the time this comes out, I will have the entry form. I heard your feedback. Some of you have said, I don't want to have to go through the whole pitch deck, and et cetera. I'm going to make it easier for you. First, you apply, then I'm going to decide whether I want to see your pitch deck or not. We're going to work on it, because that's going to help you raise from your friends, family, associates, and we're going to use my funding canvas. It's going to help you with early stage, and we're going to coach you through, plus get you into startups.com. It's going to be fantastic. Greg, last word to you. What's your encouragement to everybody who's going to be watching this?
Hey, look, I mean, I had no idea what I was doing when I founded my first company, right? And you learn, and it's amazing. And what you have here, what I have found in my entire life and my career, is that I'm so grateful to my mentors, to the supporters, to the people that have helped me when they didn't have to help me, when they helped me with deals, when I was some young kid or whatever it was. That's what it's all about. And I think, that's why I know Ed is here. That's why I'm here. We want to give back to this community. We want to help however we can, and use this as a resource. I've done it. I'm excited to give back. I'm excited to do it again and again and again with new people and new opportunities. So I'm just truly, excited to be here and grateful and looking forward to it.
Once again, thank you so much, Greg. Appreciate your generosity, everything that you've done. This was the confrontation I was looking for. The rest of you founders, like, comment, subscribe. Check out some of the other videos that we put on the screen. I'd love to hear your feedback. As always, we are open to suggestions. I want to know what you want to learn, who else I can get on the show. And if you got some recommendations, let me know. That's it. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.